Psalm chapter 9. I will praise you, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will tell of all your marvelous works. I will be glad and rejoice in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. When my enemies turn back, they shall fall and perish at your presence. For you have maintained my right and my cause. You sat on the throne judging in righteousness. You have rebuked the nations. You have destroyed the wicked. You have blotted out their name forever and ever. O enemy, distractions are finished forever, and you have destroyed cities. Even their memory has perished. But the Lord shall endure forever. He has prepared his throne for judgment. He shall judge the world in righteousness, and he shall administer judgment for the peoples in uprightness. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And those who know your name will put their trust in you, for you, Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. Sing praises to the Lord who dwells in Zion. Declare his deeds among the people. When he avenges blood, he remembers them. He does not forget the cry of the humble. Have mercy on me, O Lord. Consider my trouble from those who hate me. You who lift me up from the gates of death, that I may tell of all your praise in the gates of the daughter of Zion. I will rejoice in your salvation. The nations have sunk down in the pit which they made. In the net which they hid, their own foot is caught. The Lord is known by the judgment he executes. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. For the needy shall not always be forgotten. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord. Do not let man prevail. Let the nations be judged in your sight. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. David promised to serve God wholeheartedly. God wants our whole heart. He doesn't want half-hearted praises. That is like being lukewarm. And God warns us in Revelation 3 verse 16 that he will spit us out if we are lukewarm. I will tell of your marvelous works. When God does something for you, please don't keep it to yourself. Tell someone about what God has done for you and what he has brought you through. Express joy and gladness in God. In verse 3, David highlighted reasons why he sung praises and rejoiced in God. He saw God move against his enemies by defending him on the principle of right and wrong. David said that God had maintained his right and his cause. A cause is a principle, aim, or movement to which one is committed and prepared to defend or advocate. God maintaining David's cause meant that David's cause was in alignment to God's will. God will defend us if we are in alignment to His will, which means that we cannot always assume that God is on our side and always against our enemies. We shouldn't strive to get God on our side. Instead, we should try to get on His side, because His side is the winning side, the side of righteousness and integrity. And the way to get on God's side is by adhering to His words. The chapter also shows us that God is capable of destroying great nations and toppling great civilizations, even wiping their names and legacy from history if He chooses to. And yet, He is still loving and compassionate to the poor and needy. He will not forsake them. He remembers them and will deliver them. Arise, O Lord, do not let man prevail. What is man? Man is flesh, carnal, careless, selfish and indulgent, prideful and wicked. This is not just man against God. It is flesh against spirit, carnal against spiritual, carelessness against self-control, wickedness against righteousness, pride against humility. David is beseeching to God not to let the sins of mankind prevail. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Of all the carnal things that besets the minds of man, pride, exaltation of self, and greed may be among the worst. They are some of the leading causes of war and oppression in our world today. David begs God to remind us that we are only humans, not even angels. We are mortal and basically in control of nothing. We didn't know when we were going to be born, and likely not know when we will die. We don't even know what tomorrow holds, and yet we live like we are eternal. We act like we own our lives. We act like we own God's creation and His resources, when in fact we are just stewards of God's things. We are just here to look after them. Imagine that you hire a gardener and he starts to act like he owns your garden. Imagine he tells you that you cannot enter into your own garden nor eat of your own fruits. Imagine if he acts like you cannot fire him and hire another. The bravado of man against the Almighty is not just ridiculous, but it is dangerous. David was asking God to strike fear on these nations so that they will be humbled and remembered